Hi paper crafters, Olga here, and today I'm going to create a Slimline card using the products from the new collection by Paper Discovery. This is a beautiful elongated card format, so let's see how we should work with it. Here I have 2 sheets of cardstock. They are 8.5 by 11 format. The card itself is going to be 3.5 by 8.5 inches. So I'm placing the sheet of cardstock into the scoring board and I'm scoring it at 3.5 inch mark. Then I'm going to fold my sheet of cardstock along that creased line, and then I'm going to use my paper trimmer and trim down all extra cardstock. To create the entire card composition, I'm going to use the new product by Paper Discovery that is called Slimline Card Builder. This set has 3 decorated panels, 3 cutting outlines to create layers, plus a couple of matching circles and squares. For this project, I'll be using one of the decorated panels with the largest cutting plane outline. There are also 2 sets of square panels and circle panels, and I'll be using some products from those as well. To begin with, I'll be using the plain cutting outline to die cut a panel out of cream cardstock. I'm simply going to tape down the die and send it all through the die cutting machine. Once the panel is die cut, I'm going to apply some adhesive at the wrong side and I'm going to stick it down right onto my card front. This die is just a tiny bit smaller than 3.5 by 8.5, so it's going to create a nice thin border all around the panel. And by the way, all these dies can be used with the 6-inch wide die cutting machines. Next, I'm going to use the same cutting outline, and this time I'm also adding a decorative insert, and again I'm going to send it through the machine. So this is my panel with a really intricate pattern, and it can be used on a card just as is, but I'm going to create a matching outline to add even more detail. There are 3 plain outlines included in the set, and I'm going to use the largest and the smallest one to create a thicker frame. And by the way, all products that I'm using are listed down below in the description box. I have taped down both dies onto a piece of cardstock, sent them through, and this is the matching frame that I'm going to get. I would also like to create a square window in my card, so I'm going to use a couple of squares from the square panel die set. One of those dies creates an open frame and another one is just a matching square that is exactly the same size as the inside of the frame. You will see later exactly what I mean. Now I'm going to use that small square that is the same size as the inside of the frame. I'm placing it onto my panel, taping it down, and then I'm going to send it through the machine to create the square opening. As for the frame die, I'm just going to place it onto a leftover white piece of cardstock and send it through the machine as well. And then I just have to connect these 2 pieces. So I'm going to take the little square frame and stick it down right onto the panel. I always like using the liquid glue to work with the intricate dies like these. So first I'm applying some adhesive onto the thin little square frame and I'm sticking it down onto the panel just like I planned. Then I'm also going to take the large rectangle outline that I created before and same thing here. I'm applying some liquid glue all over the frame and I'm sticking it down onto the panel as well. So here is my panel. At this point you can just stick it down onto the card flat, but I have decided to raise it above the surface of the card. I'm going to use the small foam squares. Those are 5 by 5 millimeters. I'm cutting each square in half, and then I'm placing those tiny pieces all around the outer frame, the inner frame, as well as onto the intricate pattern of the panel. So this is how the panel looks like with all the foam squares attached. And now I'm just going to stick down this entire panel right onto my card base over the cream underlay. This die set is really versatile because it creates the structure of a card, and once you have that structure you can simply add a sentiment and call the card done, or you can add as much detail as you want. There is a very useful stamp set included in the collection, and that one is called DL and Slimline Card Builder Sentiment Stamps. It includes some sentiments for all types of occasions, plus some decorative stamped frames that work with the dies perfectly. For this project I will simply go with a happy birthday, so I'm going to use the dark brown ink and stamp the saying inside the window. Here I have a bunch of dies that I'm going to use on a project. Those were meant to create a flower shop. They are from my previous release. I think that you can use any small dies that you already have to add some interesting detail. I've die cut the images out of patterned paper, and now I'm going to attach them onto the card. But before I attach them, I'm going to paper piece some of the images to create a multicolored and multi-layered images. I've die cut this flowering heather out of green and out of purple, and now I'm just going to take my scissors and trim off the flowers from the green die cut. I'm only going to leave the leafy greens. Then I'm going to flip over that green die cut. I'm going to apply some glue onto it, and I will be sticking it down onto the purple die cut, and this way I'm going to get the purple flowers with the green leaves. Another die I'm going to use is that flower box, and this one has lovely debossed details. I've simply die cut this image out of craft cardstock. Now I'm going to apply a little bit of glue onto the flowers, and I'm going to stick the flower box on top of them. Then I'm going to attach this entire image onto my card, so I'm applying some glue and I'm sticking it down right below the sentiment window, as if it's the real window with the flowers. I also have a couple of leafy vines that I've die cut out of purple and out of green paper, and I'm going to attach those at the top of the window. All the dies that I'm using here are from the same die set. I'm also going to attach one more leafy vine right inside the window onto the cream panel. Here I also have that flowers in the vase image that I've die cut 3 times out of green, purple and craft cardstock, and I'm going to assemble it the same way I did with the flower box. I'm going to leave the purple die cut as is, then I'm going to trim off just the flowers from the green die cut. As for the brown die cut, I'm going to trim off all the flowers and only leave a vase, and then I will be sticking down all 3 layers together. Next, I'm going to assemble one more flower pot. So I'm applying some glue and I'm attaching that green die cut onto the flower pot, and then I'm also going to add some tiny flowers. Once I'm done with the flowers, I'm going to attach that flower pot onto that flower stand that is also the part of the set. And the last image is that tiny flower pot, and I'm just going to add a couple of leaves into it. Now when I have assembled all the little images, I'm just going to stick them down onto the card. So I'm placing them at the bottom of my card, and I will be using the liquid glue to attach them one by one right onto the lacy panel. So this is what my finished card looks like. I really like the spring feel to it. A card like this is going to fit into a standard envelope number 10, or you can make one yourself using the envelope punch board. Before you go, I would also like to show you some other products that are also the part of the new release. So these are the 3 Slimline products that I have already shown you, and besides those we have the DL card builder products. They are pretty similar to the Slimline products, just a bit different format. This is Slim one on top, it's a bit narrower, and the DL is a bit wider one. There are also large panels with the cutting outlines, plus there are some matching squares and circles. Plus, of course, the patterns are a little bit different, although they are the same style. Apart from the dies, there are also 2 stamps included in the collection. One is the sentiment and frames. This one I have already shown you. And another one are just the patterns. A lot of them are expandable. Those are great for Moroccan style cards. And they can be used as accents or as backgrounds. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. I also hope you will like the new products. You can find them at CraftStash. I will put a link down below in the description for you to check out. Have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.